Across the rural heartlands of France, stretching from the ancient oak forests of Dordogne through the rolling vineyard valleys of Occitanie and all the way to the wheat fields of Bourgogne, a quiet story is unfolding. Quiet, but fierce. And this isn't just France's story. It's a warning to every region where wild boars are multiplying without control. These animals are not native, not part of the landscape that once defined this countryside. They arrived, spread, and began tearing into the soil as if rewriting the history of rural Europe itself. Today, more than 2 million wild boars roam across France, leaving behind over 100 million euros in damage every year. Vineyards ripped open, barley fields flattened, and entire ecosystems pushed off balance. Farmers, people who once lived in harmony with their land, now stand as silent defenders, protecting their home not just with labor, but with unwavering resolve. Because this is no longer about economics. This is a battle to protect the place they call home, its soil, its fields, and the fragile order nature once held in place. And Famigo Farm is here, not to dress the story in glamour, but to witness it, capture it, and tell it exactly as it is. The truth of real people, standing in the woods, under the sun, on the very soil they were raised on, facing a silent invasion called the wild boar. Wild boar, silent invaders with devastating force, have become one of Europe's most urgent biological threats. In France, the damage they cause has grown far beyond a simple agricultural concern. According to the French National Farmers Federation, direct losses now exceed 100 million euros each year. And when you include soil restoration, infrastructure repairs, compensation, and government assistance, the real cost climbs past 200 million annually. In regions like Grand Est, Dordogne, Aveyron, Occitanie, and Nouvelle-Aquitaine, 40 to 60% of vineyards, cornfields, and barley crops can be destroyed in a single season. More than 500,000 hectares of farmland, an area equal to the entire region of Alsace, are impacted every year. Night after night, herds of wild boar pour into the fields, uprooting soil, tearing down fences, damaging irrigation systems, and turning once productive farmland into a battlefield. They muddy waterways, level young forests, and increase soil erosion by over 70%, according to France's environmental agency. This is the scale of the crisis, a relentless pressure on land, farmers, and the fragile balance that sustains rural life. Today, France's wild boar population has climbed past 2.3 million, 10 times higher than it was in the 1980s. With extraordinary reproductive power, females producing 2 to 3 litters a year, 4 to 6 piglets per litter, the population grows by an average of 30% annually. And their impact stretches far beyond crop destruction. Wild boars pose a direct danger to people. Every year, more than 30,000 traffic accidents in France involve boar, many resulting in serious injury or worse. They carry over 30 dangerous pathogens, including brucellosis, leptospirosis, and African swine fever, threatening livestock, pets, and even human health. And when cornered, a wild boar can charge with explosive speed and reckless force, making field control efforts dangerous, unpredictable, and often life-threatening. With astonishing adaptability, wild boars have pushed far beyond forests and farmland, moving straight into towns and suburban neighborhoods. In places like Provence and Var, residents often find them roaming the streets at night, tearing up gardens, rummaging through trash, and moving with a boldness that once seemed unthinkable. What was once a symbol of deep wilderness has become an intruder woven into everyday human life. And now, the fight against wild boar is no longer a burden carried by farmers alone. It has escalated into a national challenge, tied directly to food security, ecological stability, and public safety. The French government now spends more than 60 million euros each year on control efforts, monitoring programs, compensation, and coordinated hunts. Yet none of it has been enough to slow their explosive growth. These numbers aren't just statistics. They are the daily anxiety written into every field, every fence line, every farmer's eyes. And when traditional defenses fail, these men and women are forced to learn how to fight back, not for passion, but for survival. In the early stages of this battle, French farmers relied on whatever experience and resources they had, methods that were simple, inexpensive, and built on sheer determination. At first, they put up barbed wire fences around their fields, hoping to keep the herds out at night. But wild boars are both strong and astonishingly clever. After just a few hits, many of those fences were knocked down. Farmers then turned to noise and light, flashlights, alarms, sirens, even ultrasonic devices, hoping the sudden bursts of sound and brightness would scare the animals away. Yet within weeks, the boars adapted, returning bolder, more persistent, and leaving behind even greater destruction. In several rural regions of Occitanie and Dordogne, communities began forming local hunting teams, farmers working side by side with seasoned hunters, using metal traps, corral gates, and hands-on pursuit to reduce the growing numbers around their villages. In the Grand Est region, some farmers even dug deep defensive trenches, half a meter down, circling their fields like improvised fortification. But the boars always found a way, slipping around through nearby woodlands and returning to the crops as relentless as ever. Local authorities stepped in by expanding hunting seasons, providing ammunition subsidies, and supplying night vision gear and surveillance drones. But even with this support, the results were only temporary. The boars reproduced far faster than the country could contain them. Every farmer, every field, became its own front line, where people had to learn not just how to work the land, but how to defend it, day after day. "We don't hunt to kill," one farmer in Dordogne said. "We hunt to protect the land, because if we don't, there'll be nothing left to harvest tomorrow." And when fences collapsed, when noise and light no longer frightened the herds, the farmers understood one thing clearly. They needed the help of those who could read the forest, those who knew its rhythms, its shadows, and the wild creatures moving within it. The help of France's hunters has become essential in the fight against wild boar. When the farmers' improvised defenses were no longer enough, it was the hunters, those who truly understand the forest, who know the trails, the habits, and the instincts of this animal, who stepped forward to stand on the front line. At first, local hunters stepped in purely as volunteers, patrolling the fields at night, setting traps around damaged areas, and using their dogs to track the herds hiding deep in the woods. But as the destruction spread across the country, thousands of hunting associations throughout France began working officially with farmers and local authorities. They organized regulated control hunts, planned operations, conducted under permit, and supervised by environmental agencies, to bring order to a crisis that had grown far beyond what any village could handle alone. These operations take place at first light or late in the afternoon, those hours when wild boars are most active. Hunters split into coordinated teams, using drones and thermal optics to scan the terrain, track movement, and pinpoint the direction of the herd. Then they form a wide arc, closing in to push the animals away from farmland and back towards safer ground. In regions like Aveyron, Loire, and Dordogne, these hunting teams work hand in hand with environmental officers from the OFB and with local farmers' associations, forming a region-wide defensive network, one built to protect agriculture on a scale far larger than any single community could manage alone. According to 2024 reports, more than 800,000 wild boars are removed each year through hunter-led control operations, an effort large enough to slow the population surge, even if it cannot stop it entirely. Many hunters call this the hunt without glory, because they are not chasing trophies or triumph. They are carrying out a responsibility. We don't hunt out of passion, we hunt out of duty, one hunt leader in Dordogne explained. Without action, these fields, this land, would disappear. From those scattered early efforts, a more organized method emerged. Battue, known in English as the driven hunt. And today, we witness one of the most structured, high-pressure strategies in France's fight against the wild boar invasion, an operation where discipline, coordination, and absolute focus become the only way to hold the line. Deep in the forest, a hunter stands alone in the silence, where every rustle, every shift of the wind could be a life or death signal. When a herd of wild boar breaks through without warning, reaction becomes survival. One moment of hesitation, one missed shot, and an entire field behind him could pay the price. The hunter must reload and fire again within seconds, relying on instinct and the discipline shaped by countless seasons in the woods. The lesson is simple. In the forest, you must react faster than the mistakes that can follow. And after the shot comes the quiet weight of responsibility. The hunter steps forward, checking carefully and respectfully, ensuring the boar has been dispatched cleanly. No suffering, no lingering pain. This is the unbreakable code of the Battue, where duty and respect for nature stand far above any notion of victory. To confront an animal as intelligent and unpredictable as the wild boar, hunters rely on equipment they can trust. In the world of driven hunts, two firearms stand out as the most practical and safest choices for dense forests and fast, close-range encounters. The first is the classic double barrel, whether side-by-side or over-under, valued for its reliability, simplicity, and ease of handling in thick cover. Paired with buckshot, it provides a safe, controlled option when boars burst suddenly from the brush. The second is the 12-gauge firing slugs, whether pump action or semi-automatic depending on the team, delivering powerful stopping energy at short range, ideal for fixed positions where a decisive shot is required. Both tools are used strictly within legal and safety regulations, shooting positions carefully chosen, angles restricted, and every round fired with a single priority: human safety first, and the success of the operation second. But no matter how powerful the firearms may be, the true heart of the Battue lies in the hounds, the loyal four-legged partners who guide the hunt through the densest parts of the forest. And when the firearms are checked and ready, it is the dogs, restless, focused, alive with instinct, who signal that the driven hunt has officially begun. This is the peak of the Battue, a moment where humans, animals, and technology move as one. The beaters advance in formation, signaling with whistles and calls. The hounds, trained with extraordinary discipline, pick up scent, dive into the undergrowth, and bark in sharp bursts that act like a living compass for the entire team. Every bark, every sudden change in tone, carries tactical meaning. When the boars break cover, the dogs' voices rise before the leaves even move, revealing direction, distance, and the urgency of what's coming. In those brief, chaotic seconds, hunters must reload, aim, and adjust rapidly. But it is the dog's warnings, the commander's gestures, and the drone's silent eyes overhead that allow the entire chain of action to work smoothly. No one acts alone. Dogs lead the way, humans make the decisions. And when the forest finally goes quiet again, there is no celebration. The hounds lower their heads, waiting for the next command, and the hunters stand in silence, knowing the mission was never about personal victory. It was about restoring balance to the land. As the last echoes of barking fade into the woods, the Battue comes to an end. The French forest returns to stillness, broken only by the heavy breath of the dogs and the steady, thoughtful eyes of the hunters. There is no cheering here, only the quiet weight of duty. because they know that tomorrow this fight will begin again, somewhere else, under different trees, with the same purpose: protecting the fields, defending the land, and keeping nature in balance. When the forest finally returns to silence, when only the wind slips through the oak canopy and faint footprints fade into the damp earth, the driven hunt ends, but its meaning does not. Every shot, every bark, every step taken reminds us of a simple truth. Nature does not need to be conquered. It needs to be protected. Hunters do not fight for victory. They fight for balance, so that the land stays green, the fields continue to bear fruit, and life keeps moving in its endless cycle. And that is the mission Neo Farm stands for: to tell the real stories of the men and women living on the fragile line between destruction and preservation. If you believe these stories deserve to be heard, then subscribe, share this video, and stand with Famigo Farm in protecting the balance of our planet. Because every story like this reminds us of one simple truth: when we protect the land, we protect ourselves.